What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another week, another recap by us, the Beachblasters, for AEW Dynamite, April 28th, 2021. What's going on, my man?
Not too much. I cannot believe it's April 28th.
Yeah.
Time is flying.
Flying by. Already 4 months gone in 2021. It's insane.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's insane. But speaking of that, how did you like today's AEW Dynamite?
Insane would be a good way to put today's Dynamite. It was a highlight for me. Pretty awesome from
this was
finish.
A very good Dynamite. I would have given it close to a 10. Up until the last minute, I dropped it down to like a 6.
A 6? It went from a 10 to a 6. It just that 1 minute.
The last minute or so was atrocious, to say the least.
Yes. I guess we can get into that, but
we'll get there.
Really,
but the last minute was just
that's 2 in a row. That's 2 in a row.
Just why?
Yeah,
we'll get there. But up until then, this was a damn good Dynamite up until the last minute. But let's start it off then. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? All right, let's go. We start off the broadcast with Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage. And had you asked us who was going to win this match last week, the both of us would have said, well, I don't know about you, but I would have said Hangman Adam Page. What would you have said?
Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah. And we would have been wrong. Yeah. Because Brian Cage pulls out the victory here. What did you think of this match before we get into it, though?
This was a good match, and the ending just, I wrote it down in my notes. I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I wrote, wow, I just did not see that coming whatsoever. That was quite a surprise.
Okay. Yeah, this was good. I liked it a lot. I really, I was pretty sure Hangman was going to win, but I was kind of like, there's a small sliver of doubt. And especially I would have been 0% with no interference.
Yes, that's a good point.
It would have if Brian Cage was going to win, it was going to be Ricky Starks or Lance Archer. Well, not Lance Archer, but Ricky Starks or Matt Hardy or Hobbs or Hook or Taz himself or somebody getting involved and helping Brian Cage get the win. But no, we'll get into it. So before the match even starts, I guess this is the only outside interference of the match, is that Team Taz attacks Hangman during his entrance, and the Dark Order come out and they brawl, and they of course outnumber Team Taz, and Taz is on commentary, and he just, in the most like scared puppy dog voice, just says, "We're outnumbered." And he's too far away from his troops to get them to back off, so he's just scared. But then Brian Cage hits a power bomb on the ramp. That was pretty brutal, and he's in control. He's beating up Hangman all over the ring, and then he does a standing moonsault, and he eats some knees for it, but then he takes control back immediately, suplex into the ring for 2. Hangman goes for a buckshot, but then Cage counters into an F5. He does a series of power bombs into a buckle bomb, and then the drill claw, and then 1, 2, 3. Brian Cage wins. It was like, holy crap. There was no interference.
Yeah.
There was no he kicked out of his move. There was no 1-2 false finish sequence. Brian Cage just countered the buckshot, did a couple moves, hit the drill claw, and won. This was unbelievably refreshing. I loved it. This was great.
Awesome. Yeah. It was shocking, but in the right way. Not because I didn't think that Brian Cage could beat Hangman. I just didn't think anybody was going to beat Hangman on his way to, really competing for the belt.
Yeah. And this kind of thing doesn't happen on Dynamite a lot without interference anymore.
Yes, exactly. That's true. I know I've said it already, but I didn't see this coming, and it was refreshing is a good way to put it. It was nice.
Especially at this level of competition. When you've got let's say you've got Brian Cage versus Lee Johnson, then but there's probably still would be interference.
Yeah.
But especially at this high level, you rarely don't get some kind of interference. And I was like, Hangman is ranked number 1. Brian Cage is obviously one of the top guys too, and he just won clean. This was tremendous. More of this, please, AEW.
I agree. It's great because, Brian Cage really is, a marquee player, and it really felt like he's kind of been wasted since his debut, right? I don't know. They got so many guys, don't get me wrong. They've got Brian Cage, Miro, Lance Archer, all these huge guys that could easily be challenging for belts. And I realized that they can only have so much screen time at once. But they've done a good job with this one. It was a surprise. And yeah, thank you, AEW, for keeping us in the dark on this one.
Yeah. So we've got the Elite in the limo. And Don Callis immediately starts with one of the lines of the nights. 6 grown men in the back of a limousine. It doesn't get any better than that. And I'm going to take his word for it because I'm just never in the back of...
You've never been in that situation? Yeah.
Well, I've been around 6 grown men a lot, but not in the back of a limousine. We'll just move on. Kenny is feeling a little pissed off because of what happened to their trailer last week, and he takes off his shade, says he's not afraid. There's a horn, and all the Elite scream out in fear like pansies, and it was Nachtezawa. He pressed the horn on accident, and then he had a line. I didn't write it down, but you did. Kenny said something really good.
Oh yeah, he says he was basically talking shit about Mox and Kingston and how everybody's just kind of nipping at their heels, trying to get at them, and he said, "Wherever we go, the gold follows." Yeah,
there was another one too. He called Mox something.
He said, "No sport, numbnut."
He called the mother father.
Oh yes, that was a great line too.
What was? Do you have the line written down?
Yeah, he said he was basically calling out Mox and Kingston. He said, "Listen carefully, you mother father."
So he
yeah, go ahead.
So then Kenny tells Kingston, "You want me? You have to go through our goons first." Michael Nachtezawa. I was like, damn.
And Nakazawa's like, huh?
Just throw him to the wolves, why don't you?
Yeah. Poor Nak.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for him.
I do. And then up next, we've got the Young Bucks versus the Sydals. And another match of the night contender for me. What did you think?
Yeah, this is a great match. This is another refreshing, at least maybe not by outcome, but another refreshing tag team match. It can get stale when it's the same teams over and over again, but the Sydals brought it, and the Bucks are always good.
Yeah.
So it's a great match.
So one thing that was very noticeable to me, although I don't want to harp on it, but the Young Bucks are obviously 2 of the best in the world. So is Matt Sydal. Mike, he's a little, he's good, but he's just a rung or 2 lower on the ladder. He's very good, but the Young Bucks and Matt are like on another level.
Yeah, you brought it up, and I was thinking that too when I was watching. Like the Young Bucks and Matt are going like 100 miles an hour, and he's going like
cruise control. He's going like 85, and it's like 85 is good, but you're in there with 3 guys going 100. So.
Yeah. Give him a shot. We'll give him a chance. Yeah,
I think he's still. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing wrong. He's still very good. It's more of a compliment to the other 3.
Yeah, true.
Although I probably worded it a little bad, but the Bucks have new expensive gear. They're talking about the shoes are like over 20 grand themselves, and so the story of this match is the Bucks are being assholes, and they're very good at it. The Young Bucks are tremendous at being unlikable jerks you want to see kicked in the face. So they go to a break, and then they come back from break, and this was like a really weird thing. They do a double clothesline with Mike and Nick, and then Matt comes in. He rolls Nick out of the ring, and then he pretends like he's dead. Oh. But then now he's the legal man, and then Rick Knox is just like, yeah, okay, I was like, well,
yeah, it's like they're not twins.
Yeah, well, Don Callis mentioned is like, oh, they're brothers. It's hard to tell them apart. It's like. It's very easy to tell the Young Bucks apart, even though they're brothers. I mean, one's got blonde hair, and the other one's got, is a brunette, and he's got a beard. Yeah, it's like okay. So the Bucks, so Matt comes in, and he runs wild. The Bucks go for Indie Taker. Matt Sydal counters. They hit double meteors for the on 2 on Matt. for 2 on Matt, the Sydal brothers, and then Matt, Sydal, Huracan Rana's both Bucks at the same time. Puts on a crucifix on Matt for 2, but then Matt does the Johnny Cage nut punch on so Mike. Good. And Tony, and I was writing down, Matt does the Johnny Cage nut punch on Mike, and then Tony Schiavone says, he just did the Johnny Cage punch. I was like, oh man, Schiavone knows his Mortal Kombat.
I wonder if that's a tie-in, because
of the HBO promotion.
Yeah, because Warner Media does, own everything, including Turner Broadcasting. So
except for Disney.
True.
Yeah. But so they Schiavone acknowledged it. They do a super kick. The Bucks do a super kick party onto Matt, then the BTE trigger on Mike, and they get the win. And then Brandon Cutler comes out, gives them the ice bags and the cold spray. That was a nice touch. So they obviously are just making fun out of the whole thing. SCU is out. They said the next time they lose, they're done. They're undefeated and the #1 contenders. Chris Daniels says he doesn't see his friends over there. He says overdressed entitled bitches. And they challenge the Bucks and say the company will be better without you assholes in it. So, off of that great interview by SCU, instead of getting the Tony Khan 2-second, the next week, the Young Bucks versus SCU, they're stuck in a 4-way match, but we'll get to that later when we get to the lineup for next week.
It's nice to see SCU in the picture again.
Yeah.
I've missed them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion that it's going to be SCU versus Young Bucks.
Hopefully.
I hope so. Like you said, we'll get into the 4-way battle here soon, but I don't see any of those other teams in that 4-way really.
No.
Yeah.
So up next, we
really being deserving of a title shot just yet.
Okay.
Just my opinion. Yeah.
So up next, we've got a video of Jade Cargill. She calls out Red Velvet. No, she doesn't. She doesn't call out Red Velvet.
Did?
But
I missed that.
Was this the same video from last week?
It wasn't, but it might as well have been.
I mean, she said the exact same thing, right? All the managers want her, which means Matt Hardy and Vicky Guerrero. And
because that's all they showed.
Yeah, the problem is they all want a piece of the pie, a cut of her winnings, and she's like, no. If a manager wants to sign Jade, they're gonna have to bring it because she is that bitch.
And that was so weird.
It was the exact same thing as last week. So last week she said, all the managers want her, but I don't need no manager. But if a manager wants me, you got to have a big old offer. And then this week she says, all the managers want me, but they want to cut up my winnings, so F you. But if you guys want me, then you guys need to make an offer, but I am that bitch. It's like, what the hell is going on?
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, does she realize what a manager's job is? Of course they're going to take a cut of your money.
I'm telling you, all AEW wrestlers, you guys need to hire whoever is managing the Sydals. I'm telling you.
That's a good point. Because they're just getting title
eliminator opportunities up the ass. Hey, that's better than Jade Cargill. Has she got a title eliminator opportunity against Sheeta? No.
She doesn't want it though, because she doesn't want a manager. Hello?
Yeah, but I'm just saying. Well, Private Party has Private Party got a shot at the Bucks? A title eliminator shot at the Bucks? No. Has the Butcher and the Blade?
Surprised 5th team in the 5 man.
Has the Butcher and the Blade? No. You're kind of ruining my point here for no reason, but okay. I don't know why, but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get the point. Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know why you're just going off and trying to make all these funny jokes that go against my point when I don't know. So Orange Cassidy versus Penta, and this is another match of the night for me. Could have been the match of the night for me. What did you think?
I thought this was pretty good. Less for the actual wrestling and more for the antics, though.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So Penta comes out with a Darth Vader Samurai Spider-Man helmet, which looks very cool. And then we get
Has he been wearing that the last few times?
Did he? He had the Batman one with the horns last week. But isn't this a new walkout one? Or is it not?
I could have swore I've seen this one before. Maybe not.
Well, I only thought it was different because last week he actually had the horns during the match where I was like, that's gonna poke somebody's eyes out one of these days. But he didn't have the horns this week, so. But maybe the walkout helmet might have been the same from last week. I didn't notice, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. We're talking about two different things. Yeah, I think the walkout helmet was the same. Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, his
Yeah. So yeah, I was talking
attire
about
was
I was talking about the walkout helmet. I didn't know it was the same one from last week.
Mhm.
So Alex says, so they have the little video inset, and Penta says something, and Alex says, Penta says Trent was introduced to Mike, and they're gonna beat Orange Cassidy to a bloody pulp. So Mike is the microphone, right? Yeah. So Penta won't let it. So at the beginning of the match, Penta won't let Orange put his hand in his pocket, gives him the Cierro Miedo, and then they do the exact same thing again. Penta takes off the glove. He slowly throws it to the crowd, but Alex jumps up to the ring and he catches it. That was awesome. And then Orange tosses the glasses, but Trent doesn't catch it. So I was like, okay, I get it. So finally he gets his hand in the pockets and shin kicks. He did an arm drag with the hands in his pockets, and Shivani's like, did he just? And Excalibur's like, yeah, he just did. So we get a Cero Miedo freshly squeezed chant. Orange does the thumbs up pose. Penta bites his hand. Penta catches Orange's dive attempt, holds him up with one arm. That was pretty crazy. Tosses him into the apron. Then he hits a spine buster for 2, made in Japan for 2. Penta tries for the arm breaker, but Orange gets his hand in his pockets. They exchange super kicks. Cassidy fires up for an Orange punch, but gets a super kick and a destroyer. Orange hits beach break. Penta gets a shoulder up. Penta hits a super kick into Orange lying on the turnbuckle. Then Orange hits a Slumdog Millionaire, a diving DDT, and a swinging DDT. Alex gets up on the mic. He says something about, like, blah, blah, blah. Trent, if you thought what Penta said about Trent's mom was bad, blah, blah. And then I'm like, why the hell isn't Trent beating this guy's ass right here? He's just standing there. But we get to find out why. And then Tony Schiavone says, someone get his ass out of there, please. And then, so Orange tosses Alex into the ring. Penta hits a kick. He tries for the package pile driver. Orange flips out. He grabs the mic from Trent, hits an Orange punch with the mic on Penta, and gets the 3. So, yeah, this was a lot of antics, as you can see, and a lot of wrestling too, as you can see by this. So, anything you want to add about this?
No, the wrestling was great though. I really felt Penta is a perfect opponent for Orange because his facial expressions were so good throughout this whole match. Like every single thing that Orange was doing, Penta was selling. He was trying to stop, or he was trying to react to or predict. It was really good. And one last thing I got to say is it looks like Alex Abrahantes is having the time of his life.
Yeah, I'm this whole thing where he, right before the ending of the match, he jumps on the stage and starts talking about.
I'm not too happy.
Starts talking about Penta said this in the back. They need to cut that part out. But other than that, he's doing great, like really great. But that whole that interference thing just needs to go.
It really messes with the flow. I understand it's interference, but that really messes with the flow of the match, and it's just dumb. Him being Penta's mouthpiece, outside the ring is perfect, but for him to interrupt these matches with some like Penta said your mom, it's like, what? This is okay. Once is enough. We don't need to keep doing this.
Like, I'll let it go because it actually played into Trent getting the microphone and handing it to Orange. So I'll let it go this week. But that's 2 weeks in a row already, and we don't need it every week.
Yeah, I agree.
It also ruins the effectiveness of the interference if you just do it every single week.
It's predictable. Yeah.
But next, Shivani is with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And this was another one. I can't wait for Britt versus Shida. Britt hugs Tony. She's at the top of the rankings. She puts over the rankings. She tells them great and totally logical. Complete opposite from what she thought about the rankings before. And then she says, Shida later. And then she tells Tony to do, you got to do it with us. So they do the DMD, and Tony and Britt and Reba all do the DMD together. So this was perfect, as always.
Short and sweet. I'm looking forward to her match. I'm just looking forward to all of her promos, all of her, anything she does is just perfect right now. Yeah, so agreed.
Yeah. So we've got the parlay, and are you ready for the? You go ahead and you speak on what you thought about this first.
This was awesome, amazing, really. I mean, there was just so much going on, so many moving parts. Pretty much everyone had something to say, and it all cut deep. And there were a lot of moments where I was like, "Holy shit!" And there were a lot of moments where I was just like, "It really seems like these guys are ready to kill each other."
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to Blood and Guts, even though
which is next week.
I know, it's just crazy, right?
It's like, wow, that's
so fast.
It's next week already. Like, it seems a little fast, but whatever. You're not gonna complain about getting something really good early.
Yeah, but I loved it. It was one of the best. I think, at least per faction, it was the best. But per an individual man, per an individual wrestler, character star, whatever you want to call it, it was, by all of them, it was one of the best, just hands down promos, really straight up, I don't know, interviews, I guess you could say, that they all did. It was excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I made you give your thoughts on this first because the rundown of this is about a whole page itself. So get ready, folks.
God.
So the Pinnacle has their security, and the Inner Circle has their own security. There's some badass bikers. Tony explains the rules about the coin toss, but then Spears smacks the coin down. He says, "We deserve the advantage because we got roped into this match." Okay, but he starts telling Sammy he's in deep waters. He's going to step on his head while he's drowning. And then Sammy says, "I don't believe you. Why should I? Ever since you've been in AEW, you've been a failure." And he's a failure where he used to work too. And it's like, all fair points. Sammy says, if they want the advantage, they got it because he'll fight everybody. And Shivani says, "Well, I guess the advantage goes to the Pinnacle." It's like, okay, you dumbass, Sammy. Why'd you do that? But whatever. So Cash begs Santana and Ortiz not to bring in the soft Jericho lapdog version of them to Blood and Guts. And Dax says someone's career and life will be shortened. When the cage locks, they are in this world. In his world, he's not afraid to die. He brings up Santana and Ortiz as kids. Ooh. And he wants them to hug their kids and say, "Daddy isn't coming back." And Ortiz looks like he's ready to go. But Ortiz says, "Don't fall for their shit." Santa says at Blood and Guts he's going to let his hands do the talking. But then MJF wants to say something to Jericho. He says, "I want to say thank you. Jericho, without Jericho, there is no AEW. He was the guy. He was the top draw. He was the guy for the Lapsed fan to come back and check out AEW, and he created the best faction in wrestling, the Inner Circle. And he can't imagine the pressure Jericho feels. Every time he comes out, if he doesn't hit a home run, he takes food off everyone's table. His eyes are bloodshot, and he looks exhausted, and heavy lies the crown. But come next week, MJF is going to take the crown off Jericho, and he and his family will take it to the next level. But he appreciates what Jericho has done for AEW. When he's looking down at Jericho, he will say thank you, and Jericho's spot is his." But then Jericho says, "Well, you're a self-righteous, gratifying little prick, and he can't inherit the top spot like a trust fund or like Tetris." He says he has to earn it. And yeah, he was curtain jerking in WCW, and he's proud of it. It led him to where he is today. And he was headlining in Japan and Mexico and Germany, and that's where he learned respect. And if he wants Jericho's spot, he can earn it at Blood and Guts, but he won't. Tully looks like he's gonna cut Jericho off, and Jericho says, "No, you're not cutting me off." And he says the Inner Circle has been together since day one. Santana and Ortiz was there for him. He owns him. And Hager was there for him when he was held hostage in Abu Dhabi, and for whatever reason on our late feed, whatever he said about Sammy got bleeped out, so I didn't hear it. Did you?
Yeah, I didn't hear that either. That was odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says, so he says the Pinnacle will have to kill them to beat them. If 1969 was the summer of love, then 2021 is the summer of blood and guts for the Pinnacle, and next week's summer starts early for you. And they all start jaw-jacking at each other, and it looks like they're gonna fight, but they don't. And I was like, they didn't fight. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Now that I think about it, I was just blown away at the whole spectacle of it all. I wasn't even thinking that until you mentioned it. They didn't fight. You're right. Shocking.
Yeah. So
they're really saving it for the big one.
Hager and Wardlow didn't get to talk, and Tully didn't get to talk, and Ortiz only had like a sentence or two. But everybody who talked in this segment was very, very good. Except one guy.
Who?
He has a blonde mohawk. Okay, next up.
No. Used to have a blonde mohawk.
Used to have a blonde mohawk. Up next, Eddie Kingston calls out Kenny Omega. Speaking of which, I'm representing the new Impact champion, Kenny Omega.
Oh, interesting.
My shirt here today.
Oh, wow. Is that an Impact shirt?
Yeah, he's the Impact Wrestling champion, Kenny Omega.
Oh, I could have sworn I've seen that shirt on shopaew.com actually.
No, it's not. It's on Impact. It's an Impact.
Doesn't that shirt have a AEW logo at the bottom of it?
It says Impact All Wrestling.
Oh, interesting. That must be a different shirt. Can you show me? Can you show the crowd at home?
I just showed it. I showed it.
No, I want to see the part where it says Impact Wrestling on the bottom.
Right here.
Oh, it's weird. It must be covered up. Yeah.
There you go. Kenny Omega, Impact Champion. And what are you wearing today, my friend?
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love my nuts.
Starman Coffee. I get it, but I also don't get it. Like, what does pro wrestling have to do with Starbucks other than Starman?
It doesn't.
It's kind of also,
I don't know about you, but also, my heroes growing up wrestling were Hulk Hogan and Starman.
Also, Starman is pink.
That's true, but I thought it was a nice little touch.
Where did you get that shirt? At Target?
ProWrestlingTees.com.
Oh,
Actually,
really?
No, I did not Target.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's
no for real.
The barbershop window. Barbershop window.
Is that where you? Is that? Wait, that's where you got it?
Yeah, for real.
The barbershop window.
Yeah, they have a lot of parody wrestling shirts.
That's a cool shirt. I like it though. I just was like, that's kind of a huge stretch.
It is. I thought it'd be kind of fun to break it up, throw a swerve.
So why don't you tell us about your hero Starman?
Starman was one of the leading characters in the pro wrestling game for NES.
Oh, okay.
Which we also, run some gaming videos on our channel as well. So I thought it was a nice little tie-in with what else we do on our gaming channel.
Did you ever beat that game?
No, I never beat that game.
It looks like we know the topic of the next old school memories, or an upcoming one anyway.
Do you have it?
I might have it, I don't know for sure, but I might have it. But yeah. I'll just play without you and upload the video then, if that's the case.
What a friend. Awesome.
That's what friends are for. Anyway, anything else you want to add about the parlay? I can just that's the only thing I want to say. Everybody was really good, and then Sean Spears was the Mike Sydal of this segment.
That's kind of a low blow. I honestly thought Sean Spears did more for himself in this one interview than he has in the last year and a half on AEW.
That's not saying much though.
That's true, but this was more memorable than anything he's done in the last 18 months. I will say
you don't think him getting beat up by Mike Tyson was more memorable than this?
Does it count as a failure? Does that count as a highlight if it's actually a failure? I guess that was memorable, but it wasn't memorable because Sean Spears. It was memorable because he got his ass beat.
Okay.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention. It seriously looked like Santana was going to kill Dax.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. Santana looked like he didn't know he was going to bring up his daughter, and then he was just like,
"Yeah, the whole time
I'm gonna kill this motherfucker."
The whole time he was looking at MJF was talking, Jericho was talking, and Santana would not take his eyes off Dax. I was like, "Holy shit, Santana's really going to kill Dax."
Yeah. But Santana on the mic, so underrated. Oh, yeah. So underrated. So damn good. Speaking of people good on the mic, though, Eddie Kingston comes out, and for some reason, Michael Nakazawa is already in the ring, sitting in a chair with a laptop. I don't know what was supposed to happen here, but Eddie Kingston comes out. He says, he calls out Eddie. He's like, "Get your ass out here." So Kenny does come out. He says, "We are the ones mad at you, and we need to." Oh, do you want to say your thoughts before this one though? Because there's a lot to talk about with this one. Or do you want me to just recap it first and then we'll go?
Just to recap it.
Okay. So he says we're the ones mad at you and we need to pay you back. They're sending the goons and he's got knack. So Nachtezawa starts hitting Eddie with the laptop and Kenny yells, "Get him, Knack!" And Kingston starts beating him up. He hits an exploder and Kenny yells, "Get him, Knack!" And then Eddie hits him with a back fist, spinning back fist, and Kenny yells, "Get him, Knack!" And Kingston puts Knack's leg in the chair, and Kenny yells, "Get him, Knack!" And then Eddie tells Kenny, you better get in this ring or I'm going to break his ankle. And Kenny, in another line of the night, says, "Are you telling me you're going to break his ankle?" Well, he knew what he signed up for. Be my guest. Go ahead. And we got one more goon. And he says, "Brandon Cutler, get out here." And Brandon Cutler, he flies through the entranceway of the locker room. And I kind of at first thought it was Cutler didn't want to go, but the Bucks kicked him out and made him go out there.
Yeah, that's what my thought was too. They just threw him out there.
Yeah, so it looked like somebody threw out Brandon Cutler. And in fact, someone did throw out Brandon Cutler. But it wasn't the Young Bucks. It was good old Jon Moxley. And he attacks Kenny and he tosses him into the ring. And Moxley puts him in the rear naked choke. And Kenny goes out. And Callis on the mic says, "No. And Eddie says, give me Kenny or they're going to break his ankle." They put Kenny in the chair. And he says, "Mox, tell him what we want." And Mox says, "We want a tag team match with Kenny and this little dipshit with the laptop." And Callis is forced to say yes. And then this is probably one of the best parts of this. Kenny wakes up. He doesn't know what the fuck just happened. And he's all like, "What's going on? I don't understand." So, of course, immediately they announce next week Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley will take on Kenny Omega and Michael Nachtezawa. So, your thoughts?
This is so good. This is shaping up to be wonderful. I can't get enough of Kenny. I can't get enough of Don. They're so good. Them with the Young Bucks and everything they're doing is just so good. They are the douchebag heel faction, and they nail their roles. And
they're very, very good at it.
They are so good,
especially Don Callis.
Yes, indeed.
Who you can see, Kenny Omega and Young Bucks they're playing their wrestling characters, but Don Callis is just Don Callis on screen. Callis. Yeah,
this is just him. He's not acting. This is real for him.
He's definitely not acting at all, which is awesome.
Tremendous. Yeah.
So, I don't know what was going on here because they went to a commercial and they had Sami signs going on. So I caught it at the tail end. Do you know what he said? The only thing I saw that on his signs, it said he's going to be the first man in the cage and the first man with Pinnacle blood on his hands. But anything before that, I didn't get. So did you see anything?
The first part was, I don't know who it's attributed to, but it was a quote. It said, "War isn't about who's right. It's about who's left." And then he started talking about,
that's a good line.
Yeah, at Blood and Guts. It's gonna be us versus the Pinnacle and so on and so forth. And then you caught up at the end there. It's like, I'll be the first man in with blood on my hands, with a Pinnacle blood on my hands. So
okay,
yeah, it was a pleasant surprise because he hasn't been doing that for quite some time, right?
Yeah, for a very long time. But yeah, I like Sami Signs was awesome. And they come back, they recap the Brian Cage win, which they put over as like a really big deal, which it was a really big deal. And Taz says he just saw Brian Cage beat Hangman, so Team Taz is number one. And then he's about to start trash talking on Christian Cage, but lo and behold, Christian Cage shows up. And he says, Taz says Hobbs beat his ass all over the ring, and then he lost off one mistake. And Christian says at one time you were one of the baddest dudes and you backed it up, and he made it look easy, but nowadays he talks a big game, but backing it up, not so much. He surrounded himself with all these people and he leeches off of them. And Christian says he wishes he came back like he did, and he's not going to leech off others. So he tells Taz, send all your guys his way, and eventually they will realize they are all better off without Taz. So poor Christian still cannot get in front of the live crowd for some reason.
Yeah, that's true. But this was a great Christian Cage promo. This was way better than anything he's done, I think, since he got into AEW. I think Taz is his perfect foil. And this was great that he came out there and just basically laid it out on Taz and brought up some good points. Like, hey, these guys are better off without you, man. You're actually bringing these guys down.
Yeah, I do agree. You bring up a good point that this probably was the best thing Christian has done so far. I mean, his ring work was good too, but it's just like we brought up last week. It's just funny how he looks like he's about to have a heart attack. Yeah, exactly.
Weapon. Getting too old for this shit.
Exactly. So we've got up next. We've got Kris Statlander versus Penelope and Kip, and this was the obligatory AEW Women's Match of the Night. Don't blame us. That's just how they do it. They put on one women's match, and that's pretty much it every week. So Statlander's very good. The alien thing, not so good. I still don't get it. It's weird too because she has like tattoos. She has like American regular human tattoos, but she's an alien. So I don't know. But both of them.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say she has some like. I want to say she has some space themed tattoos too, though, right? But I know what you're saying. She has.
Does she? I don't know, but yeah. Like the one thing I noticed about this match is both Statlander and Penelope. They're actually very good in the ring. Well, I knew Penelope was good, and Statlander, when she's not overplaying it up with the boop and all that crap, she's very good too. She's like very hard hitting, and yeah, she hit a Blue Thunder Bomb for 2. Penelope hit a Blockbuster for 2, and then Statlander hits a move called the Solar Eclipse for 2. She's got to get rid of that move because that looks like, you know, which one she's talking about, where she puts their leg over her, ducks down, and then flips them over. Okay. Anyway, she hits Penelope hits a spin kick for 2, and then Statlander hits a Big Bang Theory for 3. And Kip was gonna interfere, but then Orange stopped him. And it was rather cordial. They didn't fight. He's like going up onto the apron, and Orange is like still hands in his pocket. He's like, hey, get down. And Kip goes down, and they're like, oh, okay. And then Kris Statlander just wins. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But this was a good match between the two. I liked it. I think, like, I don't know how to emphasize this anymore. Statlander is very good in the ring. So is Penelope. But the whole alien thing, I still don't get. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I'm kind of on the fence with it. It's weird because, so here's the biggest thing that I have against her being the alien, right? Because she has to play up that role, it'd be very difficult for her to really progress as a character on the mic. Like, let's say someone like Britt Baker would, because you're an alien, right? So what's your whole shtick, right? You're gonna go up on the mic. It's like, oh, I'm an alien, but I won the belt. What's this belt for?
And on
champion,
on BTE, doesn't she not speak English too?
Yeah, she doesn't at all. I don't. Yeah, and BTE,
she just does the boop on the nose, and that's it, right?
Yeah, she's kind of, that's her whole shtick, right? It's kind of like Orange's shtick, where he rarely talks, but it kind of works for him because.
But when he does,
it's not so much he's an alien. It's just that he just doesn't want to talk, right? Yeah. He doesn't need.
He's just
talk.
Like apathetic about the whole thing. Like, yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah, but for her to really put herself over, for lack of a better term, I think it'd be really difficult. You know, you're gonna have a champion who never says anything. Okay, you can make the argument that Shida doesn't either, but it's not because she's not trying to. When she does talk, she brings up good points. It's just that English is not her first language. So I think this is gonna work against her in the long run. We'll see.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I didn't even think about that. I just always was just like, this whole alien thing is just not working for me. But yeah, you're right. Like, for her to like get to that championship level, and if she just never talks, and then if she just is an alien and doesn't speak English or alien or whatever, and it's just not gonna work, right?
Yeah,
it's only gonna work up to a certain level. But yeah, you're completely right. But the biggest news of this match was everybody was looking forward to not Kris Statlander versus Penelope Ford, but the fact that it said Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian. Because everybody expected for Miro to show up and destroy Kip Sabian. But At this point, it didn't happen. So I was like, what the fuck? But maybe something will happen later in the show.
Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing there.
That was not subtle at all. But yeah. So they have a little 10 video. He talks about how Brody's influence on him, and they show when he got recruited to the Dark Order by Brody sliding the mask over to him, and that was really good. So then we've got a 6-man tag team match.
That pause told me everything I needed to know.
Yeah. So the Nightmare, the factory come out in the Nightmare Express bus, and they note that's Cody's bus. So the match is Billy Gunn, Dustin Rhodes, and Lee Johnson versus QT, Nick Comoroto, and Aaron Solo. And so all I have on the match is they did a bunch of crap, and in predictable fashion, Anthony Ogogo punches everybody, and then QT pins Lee Johnson. And then Comoroto hits Dustin with the cowbell.
That is gonna get old real quick. Like, this is the second week in a row now Anthony Ogogo has pretty much determined the match. And he wasn't
in the match.
Part of it. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, like, so I'm gonna armchair quarterback this. I mean, that's what this recap show really is. But if you wanted Ogogo to win this match, they could have put him in as part of the 3 and not had him as interference. And it would have made so much more sense that, hey, this guy's a monster. Like, he held out. He doesn't really fight. And then when they tag him in, he just gets one shot on, like, Billy Gunn, and it's over. Like, that would have been so much better than him being some little...
The guy on the outside who ruined the match.
Exactly. Some little interference that somehow he's, this nuclear bomb that the factory's holding off on.
Yeah. Like, so if it hasn't come clear by now, it should be that a lot of people are not really high on this whole QT thing. And as it is right now, it looks like this is just going to be a springboard for Anthony Ogogo.
Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense then. I
guess that's what it is. And okay, yeah. Go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the fact of the matter is, this match wasn't that bad until the end. Really, like, this could have been a decent match.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. And the real reason why I didn't like take a lot of notes and go into it, because I knew what was gonna happen. I knew Anthony Ogogo was gonna like punch a bunch of people, and then they were gonna win. So I was just like, "What's the point?" I knew that's what was gonna happen. Not that that's bad, but I just knew that was gonna happen. So I just didn't even take notes, and I was right.
Yeah, but the end did kind of lead to something else. So it'd be better that you bring that up.
Yeah, the gun club came out and beat up QT, and then that was the end. Now the factory came out and they fight the gun club, and QT walks to the bus, and
yeah,
and
this whole after the match segment was so good for so many different reasons, a lot of wrong reasons, but it was so good.
So yeah. So QT walks to the bus, and you can see Cody like leaning up against the window. It's like, what the hell is this?
Oh man!
And so
Cody Rhodes.
So Cody, the hero, he comes out and he sneaks up. He beats up QT, and then the crowd teleports to the bus. Did you notice that too?
I was just gonna say, like, where the hell did the crowd come from?
AEW, they have a lot of teleporters. It's a bunch of night crawlers in AEW.
Yeah, like they had like 3 cameras on them. They had a ref there. They had they had like 20 people in the crowd. Like,
I don't know. Like, so they're all cheering on Cody. They're all cheering on Cody, the hero, to beat him up. And QT, they're like, oh, QT's trying to escape. And what better place to escape than the top of the bus? And he climbs up to the top of the bus. And so at this point, I figured, okay, now I know why the crowd teleported here. It's because Cody's going to throw this guy off the bus. But he doesn't. He just beats the crap out of QT. He puts him in the figure 4. QT's dead. Cody stands up. He starts flexing. Everybody's cheering. I was like, oh, man. Oh, man.
This was great. Yeah.
This is the biggest,
for all the wrong reasons.
The biggest ego-stroking segment for Cody you can think of.
Exactly. I was just going to say, for all the wrong reasons, it's just like Cody's triumphant return. And for so many reasons. Like, first off, QT was getting his ass kicked by the Gun Club, which was much deserved.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny about that is that, like, it was a good minute before the rest of the factory came back to, like, hey, where's QT?
Yeah. They were right there. They had just left, right?
Yeah, they just walked through the entrance tunnel, and it's like, are they gonna come back and save him? Are they just gonna leave him to get his ass beat? And they all, for a long time, they did. And then, like you said, QT wanders over to the Nightmare bus, and I was like, they got to be setting something up for sure, because they're following him. It's like,
yeah, why would they walk up to the bus of all things?
I was like, it's got to be Cody, right? Because he took the Nightmare bus. I mean, that's a big F you to Cody. And then the hits just keep coming. Like you said, the crowd is there all of a sudden. Like, I was like, where did this crowd come from? 10 seconds ago, they were at ringside, and now they're all surrounding the bus. And then, of all the places that QT decides to escape to, he decides to go on top of the 20-foot bus.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God.
He'll never find me here.
Yeah, this is insane. Oh, I was thinking too, like, is Cody going to throw him off the bus?
I thought that was the only reason why the crowd teleported over there, was to catch QT. But at the same time, before, he didn't throw him off the bus, but I was thinking too, I was like, if I was QT, I wouldn't do this. Because what if the crowd just at the last second is like, nah, we're not going to catch him, and then he just lands on the concrete and dies? It's like, I was like, yeah, if I was QT, I wouldn't do this. And fortunately, they didn't throw him off the bus.
I've been to enough rock concerts and seen enough people wipe out from stage dives that nobody caught them in.
Have you ever done that?
Possibility. Huh?
Have you ever stage dived?
No.
Oh.
That was one thing I would never do, because I've seen so many people eat it when nobody catches them.
Have you ever caught anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Not by choice. It's just like,
well, the guys jumped, right?
Yeah, you're there, right? So I'm not gonna like not catch him. If I was the only person trying to catch this guy, I was like, sorry, dude. But if it's like 30 people, okay, like, I can't be the only guy not putting my arms up, right? I don't want to get kicked in the face or something. So
yeah.
But I have seen people just like, they part and they just hits the ground. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah. So we've got the lineup for next week. Cody versus QT. I wouldn't be surprised if this was also Anthony Ogogo punches Cody, and then it sets up Cody versus Anthony Ogogo.
Oh man, I hope not.
I would not be surprised if that's where they're going with this.
We'll see.
We got Kenny and MT Nachtezawa. I don't know what the MT is for.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
They announced that it's MT Nachtezawa versus Mox and Eddie. I'll give you 3 guesses as who's going to lose the match in that one.
Kenny Omega?
So, yeah, maybe. Set up the title match. So they've got, they announced Jon Moxley is going to defend the IWGP, is that right? IWGP US Championship against some guy named Yuji Nagata. I don't know who that is. On May 12th on Dynamite. So I'm guessing that's part of those New Japan guys, huh?
Could be a big deal, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about this, huh?
No, I don't. So
you know what IWGP stands for? No.
It stands for Internet Wrestling. I don't even know, dude. Is that what it stands for?
Game player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they announced that Britt Baker will be in action next week. And they announced, here's where they announced that there's going to be a 4-way tag team elimination tournament, and the winner is going to get a shot at the Young Bucks on May 12th, they said?
No. Did they say that?
I think it was May 12th, yeah.
They're going to get a shot the week after.
Yeah, I think it's the week after.
I didn't catch that part.
So it's going to be SCU, Jurassic Express, Varsity Blondes, and The Acclaimed, which is like, why did they have SCU call out the Young Bucks then?
You know, and we've talked about this before. This is one of the things I don't like about AEW Dynamite, or AEW in general. It's like, you're a number one contender. Why do you have to keep fighting for your number one contendership?
Yeah, just like the Best Friends, they had won the championship contender match at the Casino Battle Royale or something, right? And then it was like 3 months, and they kept having to defend the title shot, and they were ranked 1. It was just like, dude, just give them the title shot already.
Yeah, that was for once, I actually felt bad for the best friends. I think they had 3 matches with the contendership on the line.
Yeah.
Before they faced the Bucks, when we're like, "Geez, like this is rough."
And like just like SCU is ranked number 1 now. It's like, why do I have to beat these 3 other guys in a match then? What was the point of me getting to number 1? Of us getting to number 1, and then like it is especially doesn't make sense because it's like. It's either, okay, SCU wins in a foregone conclusion because they had already called out the Young Bucks, or they lose in this 4-way match and then they have to disband, and then they look like total dweebs for not getting their shot at the Young Bucks. So I don't see what the point was of this.
This is awful written all over it. Like it could go so badly, like you said, like if they lose somehow, then it's so anticlimactic. They're gonna disband because they lost to the Acclaimed in a 4-way tag team match that the Young Bucks are not even a part of.
Yeah. So the only way they could do this is if their SCU is about to win, but then the Young Bucks cost them the match, and then the Young Bucks beat whoever. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about it. But yeah, so let's say the Young Bucks come out. They cost SCU the match. Then SCU has to disband. But then the Young Bucks are just mocking the hell out of them, giving them so much shit that the fans beg them to come back for the pay-per-view.
One last run,
SCU at the pay-per-view, their last match. And then the Bucks beat them, and then that'll make the Bucks major bad guys.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't know.
That's not going to happen, though. SCU is just going to win next week. So,
yeah, that's some long form storytelling, though. If that happened, and it would be so good if the SCU and the Young Bucks were in on it all along, and then they take down the Elite from within, like you said all those weeks ago about how maybe the Young Bucks are swerving Don Callis this whole time.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking with like the way they are lately, though. It's kind of not where they're going with it. With Nick, they got those hats, and Nick's got the earring, and it's like, oh man, I don't think this is a ruse.
They're too deep.
Yeah. Anyway, Kip is in the back.
Oh man.
And he looks at the camera and she says, "I don't know what you guys are talking about. Everything's fine." And for a second, I almost believed him. So he goes into the locker room and he sees Miro, and he starts to say something, but we never find out what he actually starts to say because Miro starts destroying him. And this was the beatdown of all beatdowns. He starts throwing Kip all over the locker room. He chokes him with the chain. He throws him into the locker multiple times. Then he says, "It's time to pay your dues." And he smashes Kip's hand in the door. Kip is crying in pain. And then Miro hugs him and says he forgives him. It's like, my God. This was...
There was one other line he said right after that, too. He said,
"Okay.
Good talk."
So this was so good. Miro. I wouldn't mind him just beating the crap out of Kip every week. And then saying he forgives him.
That's Kip's one job now.
Yep.
Hey, we just need you to get your ass beat on Dynamite every week by Miro.
We knew he was going to get his ass beat. And we knew it was going to be good. And they delivered.
Yeah, it was a surprise. For a split second there, you believed Kip. Like you said, he came in, it's like...
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Everything's cool.
Say, like, yeah, we need to talk. What's that?
Yeah, that's what he was going to say, right? He was like, everything's cool. And he's like, hey, Miro, like, he just started getting beat.
Miro throws the apple at him. Miro looks at him like, where you been, bruh?
Like, you actually showed up?
Yeah, I'm surprised. He was screaming all kinds of things. I think he was saying, where have you been? What else did he say to Kip when he was beating his ass? Oh, are you trying to sabotage me? Oh, so good.
So good. Here we go. The main event of the night. The TNT title was on the line. Darby Allin versus 10. What did you think of this?
Another good match. I'm really liking that Darby's sticking to his, kind of commitment to defend the belt every week. And I think Preston is a good foil to the style that Darby wrestles. He's a strong guy, but he's actually deceptively fast. And, he's kind of got
He's
a lot of
he's weird. Like, he seems like a big guy, but he's actually not. Like, he's bigger than Darby, obviously, but then when you see those clips of him next to Brody, and it's like Brody towers over him, and so does Lance Archer. Like, 10 is big. He's like bigger than the average AEW wrestler, but he's actually not that big.
He's buff, but not like
yeah,
tall, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that. You're right. He's bulkier more than he is tall.
Yeah. So this match the ending was very good. I didn't really, because I kind of figured Darby was taking this, but at the end, I did have a sliver of doubt that 10 might actually take it. So there were, it was a basic match up until they both go to the outside, and then Sting makes sure the Dark Order can't help out 10, and then of course Ethan Page comes out. He slams Darby into the post, throws him back into the ring. Why? Well, I mean, like, how does this help Ethan Page out if Darby loses here?
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. He's not in a rivalry or a feud with Darby, so what's the point here?
Isn't his whole point to get the TNT title?
Does he think he has a better shot against Preston Vance than Darby?
I guess so. So 10 is...
Yeah, I like you said, like, if I didn't know anything about these guys, you're like, hey, you're gonna face Darby Allin or Preston Vance in a fight, I'm gonna pick Darby Allin. I'm just saying. Yeah.
So it's like, so 10 is like, what the hell just happened? But whatever's. He does a wheelbarrow slingshot German. He gets a 2. He goes for the full Nelson, which they note that is his move. I guess he beats everybody on Dark with the full Nelson. He turns it into a bear hug, but then Darby rips his mask and he goes for a coffin drop off the second rope, but then catches him and he puts him in the full Nelson. And at this point, when Darby goes limp, I was like, oh crap, he's gonna win. 10's gonna win, but nope. Darby runs up the turnbuckle. He kicks off the turnbuckle. He does the old Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, and also Steve Austin versus Bret Hart finish, and he gets the 3. He rolls over and gets the pin for 3. And at that point, that was the end of Dynamite. That was a great Dynamite, like 2 weeks in a row.
Dynamite. Yeah.
2 weeks in a row. Had they cut it off right here, it would have been a very, very good ending to Dynamite. But it wasn't. After the match, Darby takes the Brody Lee ban, holds it up, which was also nice. And then here we go. Ethan Page distracts Darby. And then Scorpio chop blocks Sting, and they attack Darby and Sting. Scorpio puts the heel hook on Sting, and Ethan Page forces Darby to watch. And then Lance Archer and 10 come out to run off these two goofballs. So,
goofballs.
Why are they putting... Why are they doing this to Scorpio Sky? And Ethan Page, for that matter, too. Like, I don't particularly care for him, but he's done nothing wrong. But just, why are they doing this stupid crap with these two guys? And especially Scorpio Sky.
I honestly couldn't tell you, man. I wish I had an answer for you, because this is the second week in a row now that it's closed out with these guys just, mucking up what should be a great closeout, I don't get it. So for lack of a better term, what's their end game here, right? Like we talked about, this isn't a tag team belt.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that Paige and Sky are going to work it out somehow?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. This is just so weird. Like, why are Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky together in the first place? We have no explanation. They just started hanging out together in the crowd one day.
Yeah. I don't get it, because they're both overlooked. That's what they said, right? I don't know.
Obviously not. Obviously not, because Ethan Page was signed to a contract, so he's not overlooked. And then Scorpio Sky won that ladder match, so obviously he's not overlooked. So what are they complaining about?
Good question, man.
I don't understand.
That's what they're complaining about. Bad booking.
I don't understand this at all. I hope they just do a match with Darby and Scorpio again, and then get it over with, and let's move on to something better.
Yeah, actually, we're not going to get a resolution next week. It looks like either, because
they
didn't
announce anything. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm guessing Blood and Guts is going to be. Fast. Yeah, I'm guessing Blood and Guts is going to be like the main event, or at least take up a good chunk of the show, so that they won't have time for a TNT title match.
So I've never I don't recall ever watching the precursor to this, which was War Games, where they had the two cells.
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, the two rings in the cell.
Yes.
How does that work for the rest of the card?
What do you mean?
Are they going to be wrestling in one of those rings in the cage?
Yeah, so normally when they have a War Games Blood and Guts match, whatever you want to call it, they just have a, when they do the other matches, they just wrestle in one of the two rings.
Oh, okay.
Of course, like sometimes they'll go and they'll fight in the other ring and whatever, but they for the most part keep it in one ring. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. We're gonna see next week. So I'm looking forward to it. I did not have the best taste in my mouth after the ending to that Dynamite, but the rest of the show was a 10. Dropped it down to a 6 for that last minute or so. What have they done to you, Scorpio? Why did they do this to you?
We will see. We shall see.
But we are.
I think
we'll go ahead.
Wraps it up, huh?
Yeah, that about wraps it up for us. Anything else you want to add before that?
No, good.
Okay, so all of you out there still watching this, push all those buttons with thumbs ups and subscribes and likes and follows and all, like, sign over all your Bitcoin to us. All those buttons, click all of them. Maybe not the Bitcoin, unless you, I mean, if you really want to, but you know, whatever. But yeah, all those other buttons, if you are so inclined, please do so. That would really help us out. And until then, we will see you next week for another AEW recap, Blood and Guts. So come check us out, and until then, be good, stay safe, and we will see you soon.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in, guys.